Hello everyone, welcome back to the course on Health Humanities, Indian and Western Medical Knowledge Traditions. This is lecture number 33 on Socio-Cultural Narratives of Aging. In this lecture, I will talk about how aging has been formulated, understood, constructed through different social as well as cultural narratives, through different point of views, different practices, different mediums that construct the idea of aging. In this lecture, I will talk about different socio-cultural narratives of aging, how they shape, how they construct the process of aging, or how they build narratives about aging. And then I will talk about two types of narratives. One is called uh, decline narratives, which is about how how it is reducing and negating the role of old age people in the social as well as in cultural sphere. Then I will talk about the age defying narratives, and this age defying narrative will uh, challenge, critique the meta narratives about old age people, particularly in the sense that how age decline narrative formulate certain negative notions about old age people. The task of age defying narratives are to reconstruct and provide alternative approach to the old age people are aging. Further, I will talk about the importance of cultural meaning in shaping identities, how cultural and social aspect provide new meaning to the existence of a person who is becoming old. And I'll be also focusing upon the intersection of aging with identity, morality, and agency. And the purpose is to bring how aging is not just a social phenomena or just a bodily phenomena or biological phenomena. Rather, aging is a complex process which is biological, social, cultural, economic, moral, and ethical. In this regard, one can also refer to the stories. So I'll refer to certain roles of stories in shaping the experiences of aging. This lecture has been uh, based upon Han Lascelles' cultural narratives and counter narratives about aging. And I have also taken some ideas from World Report on Aging and Health, which is a report published by the World Health Organizations in 2015. So these two sources are very crucial to understand the concept of cultural and social aspects of, of narrative of aging. And in this lecture, I will talk about how narrative shapes, how narrative the one's counters one's understanding of aging, and how they are significant not only in formulating one's identity but also formulating one's experiences. Before we go with the cultural and social aspects of narrative, briefly I'll talk about what is aging and what is ageism. What is difference between these two concepts? To put it simply, aging is molecular and cellular damage. It is a damage which is happening to the body where the body is becoming weak. However, this is not something negative. The problem is with ageism, which WHO has published in its report, the World Report on Aging and Health. So WHO says that ageism is the stereotyping of and discrimination against individuals or groups based on their age. I repeat, Ageism is the stereotyping of and discrimination against individuals or groups based on their age. Ageism can take many forms, including prejudicial attitudes, discriminatory practices, or institutional policies and practices that perpetuate stereotypical beliefs. So, the problem is not with aging, the problem lies with ageism, which constructs a stereotyping point of view, which constructs stereotypical views about the old age people and then discriminate them. It can be this discrimination can be against an individual or against a particular group of particular age who are called old age. And ageism can be seen in terms of like one's prejudice, one's stereotyping, one's discriminations. Ageism can be also seen in terms of certain policies and practices of institutions, because those policies and practices may not be helpful to the people who are old. Rather, it is based upon the able body, uh, uh, and those who are able bodied, they get higher access to the healthcare systems, and then the people who are old, they get discriminated in the medical healthcare systems. So to be back about the role of narrative and how it has been constructed socially, how society constructs the self or how self is constructed socially. And in this regard, we need to think that self exists within social and cultural frameworks. One's identity, one's existence is not like something which is inherent in oneself. Rather, one is product of different social and cultural forces. One is shaped and identified and defined with multiple discourses, hegemonic powers, the hegemony of normalcy, and many other things. So it is the society, the culture, which creates certain beliefs, certain values, and then those beliefs and values get associated with the old age people. So forget for a moment the old age people. Even we think about just the individual self, it can be any individual of any age. Their meaning of life is determined and qualified by the social and cultural framework the society one is living in, the social activities one is participating in, the social role one is performing, and then the cultural activities and roles one is part of. So all they shape one's existence in the existence and one's sense of identity, one's sense of self. In this way, one's identity is not fixed, rather it is socio-culturally formed. It is formed through socials, through cultural traditions. In other words, one's identity is in a mode of fluctuations. It keeps on changing. For example, how a person is seen, how a person is viewed. Let us for a moment take the example of gender. And once like one assigns the patriarchal notions and considers women as someone who are less powerful, who are not holding significant position in the society, and then they are seen as quote unquote secondary individuals. It means their identity is constructed by the society. But once society and cultural practices, traditions reformulate itself and give the space for women, and where they can take various roles in economy, in science, in technology, the identity of women will be transformed. Similarly, the case is about the old age people as well. The identity of old age is not fixed. Rather, old age is constructed through social as well as cultural practices. It is society and culture who considers, who views old age people in a particular way. It can be in terms of giving enough space and recognizing the value and worth of old age people. It can also be in terms of negating the roles and values of old age people. In this way, we find that the notion of old age is not same everywhere, in every culture, in every society, in every tradition, in every age, in every period of time. Rather, the understanding, the identity of old age people differs from culture to culture, from society to society, from time to time, from place to place, because every time, place, and culture have its own practices, and accordingly they formulate the idea of old age, which in turn constructs their identity. When we think about the autonomy of individual or the liberty of individual, it is not something free and independent. Rather, one's autonomy and liberty is influenced by the context in which a person is residing in, the context in which a person is located in. It can be different socio-cultural, political, and religious contexts, which will assign certain roles to be performed. A person can act in a particular way in a particular age. For example, once like a person is of like a young, is a child, person may behave, act in a particular way, which may not have the sense of responsibility. But once one becomes adult, the person is assumed and supposed to behave in a responsible manner. But in the old age, the behavior and of a person has to be very different, where he has to think in terms of certain kind of ethical and moral contexts and act accordingly. So old age, the context, the society, the culture, the tradition will determine how a person will act, where and how, and what role one is supposed to perform, what activities one is supposed to perform. It is determined by the cultures. So cultures shape the roles and expectations of the old age people, that old age people can have certain expectations from others to in a particular way, or the old age people can have only limited or certain expectations from others, and others are also supposed to have certain expectations from the old age people as per available cultures and as per the norms of available cultures. So the roles, the tasks which old people perform, they are very different, varied. It depends from culture to culture, and then they shape it the way culture determines it. For example, in the Indian society, the people who are old, they are supposed to take care of the family, stay at home, take care of the protect the households, and participate in some kind of religious and spiritual activities. It is also a source of wisdom for them, because this is the age where they can have a lot of experiences. So Indian culture associates old age with experience, with knowledge. However, there is a shift in such kind of expectations in the present time because of the rise of capitalism, because of the rise of single family, because of the rise of industrialization, where people are becoming too much busy in their own life and have no space for the old age people. With the advancement in technology and industrialization, there has been cases where old age people have been neglected. They are left to suffer alone. We find certain examples where people are old age people are left on the roads by their family members, and their conditions become very weak. And so though Indian culture and traditions have very great tradition of old age people, however it has been changing and shifting. The concept of old age houses, old age shelter houses are also emerging in Indian society and culture. So in this way, we need to look at different socio-cultural narratives, how they create the sense of the old age people, how they alter the life of old age people, how they modify the life and existence and experiences of old age people. So narratives are very prominent in shaping one's identity, shaping one's sense of self. By the way, what are cultural narratives and how it is like how they act, how they formulate one's sense of self, one's self of identity. So these cultural and social narratives, they are collection of shared stories and shared meanings, shared practices, which can be transmitted, and these cultural narratives can be transmitted through media, through art, through daily life. It can be transmitted orally from one person to another person, from one generation to another generation. It is transmitted through newspaper, social media, and different other form, televisions, TV shows, web series, OTT platforms, and different other mediums. And these medias, these stories can help to create certain archetypes and stereotypes about the old age people. They can also defy these archetypes and stereotypes. So cultural narratives do not function in one dimension. It depends upon what the content of the cultural narrative, the role of cultural narrative. Cultural narratives have power to demean, to undermine the conditions, the perspectives and the representations of the old age people, and at the same time it can deconstruct such stereotypes and archetypes. So narratives are very powerful. They are both that they can diminish the reputation of old age people, and in turn it can make their life miserable, and at the same time it can contribute in a better way in the meaning making of the life of old age people. The cultural narratives not only create archetypes and stereotypes, but they direct, they control our social roles and choices. We behave, we act not the way we want, but the way we are trained, the way we are put up in the cultural narratives. So the cultural narratives will shape our understanding, our behavior, and our actions, because we are the product of discourse, we are the product of cultural narratives, and these cultural narratives shapes one's consciousness, one's understanding, one's beliefs and practices, and that will change, that will shape our point of view, our belief about the old age people. Hence, cultural narratives are very crucial in the formation of identity. Cultural narratives play a major role in defining one's sense of selfhood, in creating one's sense of identity. It can deconstruct one's identity, it can destroy one's identity, it can reformulate one's identity, it can make and unmake one's sense of selfhood and a sense of identity. The power of narratives are very, very strong. It influences one's perceptions about aging, one's perception about old age people. How do we see old age people? Depends upon how we see the narratives. For example, like when we look at some of the old age narratives in Shakespeare's plays, or old age narratives in the novels of Charles Dickens, what kind of perceptions we make? Let us think about Fagin in the context of Oliver Twist. He has been seen a person who is old, but he is exploiting other children. He is making them big, and he is making them expert in theft or any kind of evil activities and practices. Let us think the case of Shylock, though not very old, but how he has been seen, someone who is very evil person, who is ruthless, who is merciless. And then these narratives can actually shape one's perceptions about old age people. It can also shape in a very good way, in a very positive way, in a very meaningful way. And it can contribute in changing one's perception about old age people. For example, Robert Browning's, where he says, grow old along with me, the best is yet to be. That age is the source of knowledge. The best is yet to come in the old age. Or one can think about Alfred Lord Tennyson, where he talks about one of his old characters, that old age is a time for like such quest for knowledge, a time for like moving beyond and getting knowledge. We have also like in W.B. Yeats's poems, for example, Byzantium and Sail into Byzantium. We have two different views projected in these narratives. One, like narrative says that old man is like a tattered coat. It's like a scarecrow, and which has no relevance in the society. But in another poem called Byzantium, it projects that old age is a medium through which they can get knowledge about spirituality. They can pass the dualism of life and death. So aging has different cultural narratives, different literary narratives, different social narratives create their own perceptions of old age, and which shapes one's understanding about old age people. We define ourselves depending upon what roles are available to us, what roles are assigned by the socio-cultural traditions. And so the life, the meaning, the existence of old age people depends upon the roles which they are assigned, the task which they are assigned, and the social position which they have been assigned. It will help to construct one's sense of identity. It will also impact our decisions, our relationships about the old age people. So what we think, how we treat the old age people, how we live with the old age people, it depends upon the different narratives which we have inherited. So the inheritance of narratives about old age will shape one's relationship with old age people, and accordingly they can consider how old age people can act in the society. And these narratives, these socio-cultural narratives can enable the participation of old age people in the society. It can also restrict the participation of old age people in the society. So the power of narratives are enabling as well as disabling. It can enable as well as disable the participation, the role of old age people in the society. And if it is like restricting and disabling, then these kind of narratives will lead the fragmentation of the identity of old age people. They will make their life meaningless. They will make their life absent of all kind of worthiness. And to move further, we find that the master narrative about old age people, if they are stereotypical, if they are segregating, then they have damaging effects on the old age people, because the stereotypical, restricting and disabling master narratives assign restrictive roles to the old age people. They call them marginalized group. They limit their activities, they limit their social cultural roles. They do not consider their worth and value in the family, in the society, and rather they are seen as a burden on the state. They are seen as a burden on the society, on the economy, on the family. Moreover, these damaging narratives consider that the elderly old age people are slow, their mind works slow, they cannot understand quickly, their body has become weak, and then they are dependent upon other people. Their existence is on other people. They cannot do any activities themselves. So these are very negative narratives, very damaging narratives, which limits, which restricts the roles of old age people. And then they reinforce stereotypes and stigmas on the old age people, that old age people should live in a particular way, they should behave in a particular way, and perform certain assigned roles. So in this way, we find that these master narratives operate and act at multiple oppressive levels. It can act at social level, at cultural level, at the biological level, as well as economic and familial levels as well. And all of them will join together to limit the roles of old age people in their full participation in the society. Rather, old age people will be secluded, they will be isolated, and living a life of aloofness, living a life somewhere in alone and distant places. They will be cut off from the society, and it will make their life miserable. We find 4 oppressive forces of narrative, which can actually damage, control, restrict, and limit the roles of old age people. One is, number 1, expulsive narrative, expulsive force. And this expulsive force or expulsive force in the narrative will exclude the old age people from the mainstream society. These narratives will say that the persons have become old, they cannot do this, they cannot do that, they are not able to perform any kind of meaningful activities. So they will be seen as someone as a dependent, as burden, or as someone who cannot do anything by themselves, and hence they will be excluded from the mainstream society. They will not be given any they will not be given enough importance in the society. Then second one is dismissive force of narrative. They will not exclude the old age people fully, they will tolerate them, but they will say that since they are old, their actions may not carry enough significance. What they say do not have much value, much significance. So they are like, these narratives will be dismissive about the experiences, the ideas, the thoughts, the roles, the activities of the old age people. It will say that they are old, they will keep on saying certain things unnecessarily. So let's not pay any attention to what they say. So this is like dismissive force of narrative. It can be through stories, it can be through literature, it can be through oral practices, our day-to-day life practices in the society. Third one is passive, which is like puts them in a servile roles and makes their life miserable. Fourth one is preservative, and this preservative force is something positive about the old age people, but still it does oppress them. So preservative force talks about how to contrast the old age people with the young and adult people, and to compare them with the normative order. And this preservative force will say that the old age people are not able to carry out their activities as per the normative world order. As per the sense of normalcy, they are weak, they are unable to do their activities. So these are like four dominant oppressive forces of narrative about the old age people, and together they maintain the cultural hegemony, cultural ideology upon the old age people, to segregate them, to separate them, and to oppress them. In this regard, Lindemann Nelson's point of view is very significant. He talks about two types of harmful, powerful oppressive narratives. Two types of harmful narratives. One of them is like one which deprives the old age people from opportunities. It excludes them from different roles. It can be excluding them from social roles, cultural roles, political roles, familial roles, and religious roles, and many other roles. And so it will deprive them all kind of opportunities, and so old age people will be seen as someone whose life has no worth, whose existence has no worth. They are simply a burden on the society. And then these narratives which deprive them will try to actually formulate other notions about them, and then they will stereotype them, they will limit their access to their own what we call maintenance of day-to-day expenses. They will curtail their employment opportunities if they are able to do so. They will project them as an evil person, as someone who has no work but keeps on saying certain things. It will stereotype them as someone who are inefficient, who cannot do any kind of work, who are dependent. So in this way, we find that the narratives of deprivation will limit old age people by excluding them from different roles, and then creating certain kind of stereotypes about them. More powerful than what you call exclusion is like infiltrating one's consciousness. So infiltrating consciousness is very, very powerful and dangerous. It actually makes both the so-called able society as well as the old age people to internalize these stereotypes, these beliefs and practices, and make them think that this is natural, this is normal, this is obvious. So once a consciousness becomes infiltrated, then one's mind becomes colonized by the what you call stereotypes, colonized by exclusion, the colonized by the narratives of exclusion, colonized by the narratives of what you call oppression, and it needs to be decolonized. And it acts on both the people who are old. After a point of time, the people who are old and elderly, they will begin to believe and think that they do not hold any relevance in the society, in the family. They will consider this is natural. And the people who are so-called able, so-called adult, they will also consider them that they are worthless, and this will become their natural and day-to-day lifestyle, where no one will realize that they are doing something wrong to the old age people, to the elderly people. Rather, they will see it as part and parcel of their life. And so infiltrating consciousness in the old age people are very dangerous. And for example, like how one can infiltrate one's consciousness about old age. It can begin with the idea of retirement. For example, like someone is in government jobs or any kind of jobs, and says that if one is able to achieve particular age, it can be 58, 60, 65, 62, whatever, and then say retirement is equal to that you are no more needed. You are not needed anymore. You are useless. So this is retirement is retirement from all kind of work. That your work cannot hold any value. You cannot do the work any further. So retirement is one source of infiltrating the consciousness. Retirement is a source, a medium through which one is made to feel one's uselessness, one's unworthiness, and one internalizes this, that one is not holding any value because one is retired. And then the loss of agency, the loss of purpose with old age is also very, very what you call infiltrating the consciousness. That people think that once one is becoming old, they do not have any aim in the life. They don't have any purpose. They associate that purpose is with the people who are young. They have to study. They have to seek a job, get married, have children, take care of the children and family. But once one becomes old, then they have done all these activities. They have fulfilled all their duties in the life, and now they are purposeless. They don't have any thing to do in future, and this idea purposelessness infiltrates one's concept of aging. Further, the people who are old, they are also devalued. I mean, their value has been decreased in the culture. So this cultural devaluation has led to the loss of respect, loss of recognition of the old age people. It limits their aspirations and self-image, thinking that they don't have any identity, any self, any purpose, any business, any value, and any worth, and they don't have anything to achieve. They don't have any self-respect, self-image. So all these things create different types of narratives to restrict one's role in the society, and it will shape how both the people who are young, they will begin to consider old age people in this way, and then the people who are old, they will also internalize these beliefs and practices. However, there are some other counter narratives which can repair the identity, the sense of self of the old age people. They can create alternative counter narrative about the old age people, which will be about how to bring back their worth, their value in the society, how to counter these stereotypical and these what you call restricting narratives, these damaging narratives. So the counter narratives are those which questions, which critiques certain kind of representations which are not acceptable, certain kind of representations which are stereotypical, which are built upon hegemony, which are built upon, constructed by certain kind of hegemonic practices, ideologies, and then reformulate it in terms of one's sense of selfhood, one's sense of identity, and one's value, and providing them a space in the society, in the culture, as well as in the family. And so these counter narratives are the alternative narratives which can help the old age people to live by, and it can provide multiple tasks, multiple works, multiple ways through which old age people exist in the society and carry forward their day-to-day activities. It is a medium, counter narratives are mediums to enable moral agency. It restores the moral agency both in the people who are old as well as those who are not old. It will make the non-old, the young people, aware that what they are doing, the practices which they are part of is wrong, is unacceptable, and it will also encourage the old age people that their life has value, has meaning, and still they have time to contribute. It encourages the idea of self-worth. It makes the person accept that they can actually contribute to the society, to the culture, and so these narratives are called the repairing narratives. So the damages which have been done by the oppressive narratives, and then these narratives will challenge them. There are multiple examples where we find the stories about old age people and who are doing or who are actually providing counter narratives. There's a novel called Uske Hisse Ki Dhoop, the son of his side. This is a Hindi novel where it talks about an old man. In the story, he is known as Dada, the old man, and how this old man is running a kind of NGO to help all the people who are disabled. And there is another story, this is called Dhalati Sam. This is like the falling of evening, and where the old man, all the old men in a city gather together, they construct, they try to actually build up one old house to help each other. And so both narratives defy the limitations of old age and provide an alternative approach to the old age people. What is like moral agency and recognition in the old age? The moral agency, and like once they are, we have repairing narratives. So repairing narrative asserts moral agency both in the old age people as well as in the young and adult people. And this moral agency is an ability to lead a meaningful life, that the people who are old, they still have time to lead a meaningful life, and the people who are adult, their responsibility is to provide a meaningful and respectable existence to the old age people. The moral agencies force us to recognize the old age people in the society, to recognize the importance of old age people in the society and help them to live the way they want and contribute the way they can. In this way, it asserts the self and identity of the old age people. It is also linked with moral self-definition. And in this way, the moral agency is about reciprocal respect from both the one who is adult and the one who is old. It talks about the reciprocal respect from the adult to the old age people and from the old age people to the young people, where they can live in harmony, where they can coexist together, and where one is not limiting one's rights, where one is not curtailing one's rights. So it is very essential in restoring the dignity of old age people, very essential in restoring the worth of old age people. When we further talk about the narrative repairs, and then it is about how to create counter discourse, how to create counter stories. The purpose of narrative repairs is to resist and replace all the master narratives which are oppressive, which are built on the logic of exclusion and domination and control. It is about asserting one's sense of selfhood. It is about creating a healthy aging narrative. What is healthy aging narrative? Where one is having opportunities to do various things the way they want and as per their physical and moral strength. Further, how one can repair, how one can reconstruct, it is to rehabilitate damaged identities. So the identities which have been what we call destroyed because of repressive narratives, it will provide an alternative mode, alternative stories, and then provide the worth of old age people. It will promote moral agency. And as a whole, the purpose is to shift the collective cultural perceptions, where old age people are not seen as worthless, valueless, meaningless, taskless, as well as dependent. So the purpose of repairing narrative is to change the cultural perceptions about old age people and then help them to identify and define their roles, their identities the way they want. And it can then shape their healthy lifestyle and their healthy future. To take the ideas of Lindemann Nelson further, he talks about 3 levels of resistance which can be used to defy the cultural perceptions, which can be used to defy the master narratives. First, he says that one of the narratives is called refusal, which acts at the individual level. That one is like denying those stereotypes personally. Suppose a person has been described in a particular way in all negative terms, then person can defy those narratives by by countering those points of view and maybe by his own actions. That one is doing his own work the way one wants without saying anything. So his life activities will refuse those individual stereotypes. It will make the person think that though this man appears to be old, but his activities are not the way people think an old man should act. The second level of resistance is repudiation. So from individual, this resistance comes at the level of society. So it opposes all the like social and cultural practices, stereotypes which have been assigned to the old age people. For example, like weak, unhealthy, people who are suffering, who are dependent. These are like cultural stereotypes, and so this resistance will go from individual level to the larger social level, and then finally this is contested, like contesting of all these representations. So contestation is happening at broader collective cultural critique. So this contestation is about the collective cultural critique of all those narratives which limit, which diminish, and which destroy the dignity, the rights, and the reputations of the old age people. And hence, these resistance will bring and build empowerment and resilience in the society, in the old age people. It will formulate new understandings, new narratives, new points of view about the old age people. It will also transform the social norms where only the healthy body, the young body is given importance, and old body has not been given importance. So this normative, it will change this normative structure of the society, this normative structure which is prevalent in the culture as well as in the society. It will also bring epistemological uh, positions and voices that will shape and change the narratives about the old age people. So this resistance, this repairing narratives will also work at the level of epistemology. So the people need to speak as knowers, which means that the old people, the people who are taking care of the old age people, they should actually tell that they know what is being done to them. They are aware about all kind of oppressions and all kind of practices. And further, the old age people should be seen as a source of knowledge, as a credible source of knowledge, as a credible source of information. And they should be also seen as someone who can be trusted, and they cannot lie, they can always tell the truth. They can be someone who can help other one to get the guidance in their life. Further, these stories will deserve serious attention because this will reformulate one's existence and one's life and one's meaning in the life. And in this way, self-narration is very necessary, which means the old age people has to write their memoirs and how they restructure their life, how they reshape their life. So old age memoirs, old age story, the stories about old age, the stories of the autobiographies about old age can act to change and transform the conventional, stereotypical, orthodoxical practices and beliefs and values about the old age people. And then these self-narratives will enable alternative aging identities. It will reconstruct the aging identities in different way, in a new way, and where it can provide meaning and value to the old age people. When we look at the role of cultural gerontology in the aging, we find that aging has a larger role in the culture. So it needs the cultural studies of old age. So aging is not something which is biological, which can be studied only through sciences, through medical sciences. Rather, one can do the cultural studies of old age and aging. One can apply all the existing theories which are about exclusion and control and domination. one can apply the theory of race, gender, disability, queer, and other theories, and then study old age. It will provide a new perspective. One can also use the ideas and concepts from anthropology and then study old age. So this one is having multiple perspectives from like history, culture, society, from anthropology and other sources. It will actually challenge the reductionist views about the old age. It will then provide multiple and diverse aging identities. It will project that aging can be seen in multiple ways. Aging is not something homogeneous and monolithic. Rather, aging is something which cannot be understood with singular narrative. It needs different narratives for different people who are old. The cultural gerontology also highlights the dangers of internalized narratives, because if one's like consciousness and mind is filled up with certain narratives, it will actually then make a person have a certain kind of points of view about themselves in particular way, which can limit their activities and ideas. So these limitations are once internalized, it will pose dangers to both the old age people as well as to the society. Hence, the task of cultural gerontology is to promote holistic aging perspective, to promote where old age people are not seen as someone who are not part of society, as a burden, as a dependent. Rather, they are an integral part of the society and the culture. When we look at like decline narratives, then these decline narratives contribute that aging is inevitable because of biological decay. That once like a person is attaining the age of 60 plus, 50 plus, then their body is becoming biologically weak, their strength is decaying, their vitality of life is like dying, and this is like what decline narratives promote. These declines narrative decline the role of persons in society and cognitive functions. They assume that the loss of social and cognitive functions are integral and necessary for the old age people, and they emphasize that the old age people cannot participate in social roles. They cannot participate in cognitive and decision making process. Decline narratives also emphasize the dependency of the old age people, that they are dependent and they prefer to live alone, isolated. However, these decline narratives can be questioned through cultural gerontology, through cultural discourses, through critical theories, and then critique the neglect of opportunities for the growth of old age people. So the decline narratives have shaped the understanding of old age people, and it needs to be further critiqued. And then when we think about like how these decline narratives have been formulated in the book Learning to be Old, Margaret Cruikshank presents 5 different ways of socio-cultural aspects about constructing aging. So the decline narratives are built upon medical discourses, that the old age people are heavily dependent upon medicine and medical resources. So it projects that the declining narratives are heavily medicalized, and the old age people are too much dependent upon medicine and medical healthcare. Second point of view which is there, it says that the old age people face certain kind of forceful stereotypes which they have conceived and which they have experienced. So the declining narratives talk about that, like how old age people can be too much dependent upon the uh, medicalization, and they talks about like how stereotypes have been conceived and experienced by the old age people. It further talks about that the old age people are frightening and they are like a kind of barrier for the individual and for the society. They do not consider in a way old age people as a proper human being. Further, they are seen as genderless and sexless. They are not seen as like men and women. So like once like one attains a particular age, it is believed that their sexuality has been over. They have become genderless and ageless, sorry, and sexless. They do not belong to any class and ethnicity. So these are the narratives which actually limit, which restrict the roles of old age people in the society. The decline narratives are further seen through what we call the loss of memory, through Alzheimer's disease, and because Alzheimer's is like symbol of a symbol of feared aging, that people in the old age will get Alzheimer's and then they will have loss of memory, and then they have loss of autonomy and selfhood. Further, like decline narrative talks about how the old age people do not have any autonomy and a sense of selfhood. They are dependent and they are not having any memory. They are having only negative perceptions. They give negative ideas. The oversimply and then this decline narrative oversimplifies their life experiences. So these like decline narratives can be again deconstructed by age-defying narratives. The age-defying narratives offers that aging equals staying young. It is not like staying young biologically, but staying young in one's spirit, in one's sense of like living. Age-defying narratives talks about how to remain productive and healthy and focus on meaningful life and emphasize productivity and health. It associates, age-defying narratives associates active lifestyle, that one is doing something or other and they are not just lying idleness. Rather, they are part of the culture, they are part of society, they are part of different activities. It pushes a successful aging models or healthy aging models. So age-defined narratives purpose is to actually promote healthy aging or successful aging, where old age people are seen to maintain their health, where old age people are seen to do something or other things, and then they can live a healthy lifestyle. The other types of age-defined narratives are like resisting decline. How they can resist their decline of life? By maintaining health, by exercising, by engaging in different activities, by being active and productive, by contributing to different sources, different things. Then number two, like to adapt themselves with the situations. They can maximize their strength and they can compensate their losses. How they can maximize their strength? By engaging in those activities which they can do, by carrying day-to-day exercises, by practicing yoga and other things. Third, they can actually defy the age by the sense of self-fulfillment, that one should not see one's life as loss, one's life as empty. One can spend one's time in leisure, one can read a book of fiction, a novel, a story, or they can like learn something. They can also like prefer to eat something what they want. They can consume also information as well as so many other things which are available. And in this way, the age-defying narratives promote positive aging images, and and further they can actually compare themselves with youth-centric ideals. That the people who are old age, they have the same ideals which youth are having. So to conclude, the cultural narratives about old age shape how we perceive the people who are aging, the people who are elderly. It can shape both positively as well as negatively. And then in this lecture, I have talked about various age-defying as well as age-declining narratives and how they can help to create one's sense of identity, or how they can limit one's sense of identity and selfhood. In this regard, I have also talked about how repairing of one's identity can be done through those narratives, and which can empower the old age people. In this regard, it needs a broader and inclusive approach to the old age people, to the people who are elderly. And the purpose of these narratives, I mean, age-defying narrative, is to recognize the dignity of all the people who are aging, who are old age people, and then find and to provide them their rights and their dignity in the society. Thank you.